Franklin County Commissioners, Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. Janet, roll call.
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Present.
Commissioner Harris.
Present.
Chair Dunn.
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson.
Present.
Commissioner Waymire.
Present.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Stay standing for the invocation.
Let us pray. I'll be taking my scripture reading out of John 3:16. It's a common portion of scripture. God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, whosoever believeth on him shall not perish. And Lord God, we thank you for what you did on that old cross some 2,000 years ago for us, Lord. And we give you praise and glory. Amen.
Thank you, Lenny. Correspondence, Derek,
No, sir.
public comment.
We have one.
Okay, a citizen desiring to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at this time. Discussing is limited to 5 minutes, and the commission will not take action or discuss items at this time. Discussion should be limited to matters of county commission business, and public comment is not permitted in regard to personal matters or on pending legal matters. Items introduced under public comment may become an agenda item at a later date.
Norman Woogie.
Norman Woogie, 3790 Pony Road. As you might remember, there was a meeting last Thursday morning. I attended that meeting as it was a special meeting. It was north and east of Olathe, just off of I-35. Being that far away, I questioned, why not at the Ottawa Holiday Inn? Our Holiday Inn probably would serve just as the two lunches as you all had. Because of the dire importance of that meeting, I made sure to tape record that meeting and comments of the break. And you probably know I record them all the time. I gain a perspective of the goals in general of the commission and have a nice short visit with some of the people there. I disagree with much of the snow that flew and was sorry I didn't bring a shovel along. Because of the lack of action which you accept from others and because of the lack of action of this governing body, no progress. The nice thing is that you were able to view the new Johnson County Park. Every time I go by there, there's new buildings, and they're even way back by the lake. Along I-35, there are success stories, and you would be impressed if you took a road tour of it, which I have. I am happy with the tape of the meeting, and we'll be discreet in sharing it. Good luck at retaining your jobs.
Thank you, Norman. Consent agenda today is consider and approve claim vouchers in the amount of $685,231.42 and tax change orders amount is $26.34 and consider and approve Franklin County Commission meetings for March 9th, 2022.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second. Janet?
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Yes.
Commissioner Harris.
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire.
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. First item of business is consider awarding bid to install the HVAC in the visitor center. Brandon?
Morning. So we've talked about this quite a bit, getting this
system installed on the second floor of the visitor center. After putting that out to bid, the lowest responsible bidder, which you should see in front of you, was Adamson Brothers. Their bid came in at $10,925 to install the unit up there. Just to be clear, that bid includes electrical work that they're going to have to run wiring and everything. Since this is a completely new install, there's nothing in place there right now, so they're going to have to run electrical, so that is included in that price as well.
Any questions, Brandon? Nothing.
I think this is obvious to the five of you, but just to provide a little more context, this is part of our agreement with the Historical Society. We've kind of agreed in principle they're going to move out to the visitor center and utilize more of the space. This will be for the second floor so that they have additional climate-controlled space.
I appreciate you going through the process and collecting bids.
Oh, yeah.
Just easier on the conscience to make sure we went through the process and it is the best price we can get for the county.
Absolutely.
I do have one question. It's an air conditioner. We're putting it up there because it's air conditioning, but it is a heat pump, so it could do heat too?
That's correct. And then it'll have electric heat strips as a secondary. If it's too cold outside for the heat pump to run, then we have electric backup heat. So yes, it will do both.
Any other questions, Brandon? If not, a positive motion would read, I make a motion to award Anderson Brothers a bid to install a HVAC system in the visitor center in the amount of $10,925. Motion approved. Have a second?
Second.
Janet?
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Okay.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Chair Dunn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon.
Next item up for business is consider holding a public hearing on today to consider vacating Alabama Road from a point 544 feet north of the southwest corner of the southwest quarter of section 23. T, I guess it's township and range, township 15 south and range 17 east to the northwest corner, the southwest corner, the northwest corner of said section 23. So everybody knows where that's at. Okay, David.
The purpose of that long-winded description there, Commissioner Dunn, is to pinpoint exactly where we're starting and stopping on that. There's not a house or a perfect address for those locations, and so describing it with the meets and bounds or with the section, township, and range helps tie it down a little closer. So that's why I went with that. But this particular road vacation, again, every road vacation that we've entertained, at least during my time, has been brought forward by the citizens that own the adjoining property, and that this project is no different. This one, what makes this one a little bit different is the fact that this is on a county line road. It's not a road that Franklin County is responsible for the maintenance. It's Osage, the township. On the other side, they maintain this section of minimum maintenance road. And so what we are doing today is we're gonna propose to annex or vacate just our section of the road. So just what's in Franklin County. Osage County will be responsible for taking care of their side. Another unusual factor in this particular road vacation is the fact that on our side, Mr. Carey owns 3 separate tracts that abut that right-of-way. And I know in the last couple of weeks ago when we held a public hearing for another road vacation, Commissioner Dickinson brought up the fact of what happens if they want to develop or build on one of these parcels later on. Well, that is a concern, and so we brought the applicant's representative in last week. Kenny Cook, the planning director, and I sat down with Joseph Carey's father, who is representing both parties in this action, and we explained what the ramifications are of vacating this right-of-way, that they wouldn't be able to gain a building permit on these individual parcels unless they came back in and either did some land reconfiguration to make it conforming, or they reopened the road to county standards. And so we felt like that was an important step so that everybody would understand, going forward, that there would be some hurdles to overcome if they ever did want to build on the two pieces that end up being landlocked associated with that. And they totally understood, and their indication right now is that, this is land that they plan to hand down generations, and so they don't think it's going to be an issue today, but if circumstances change, they understand what steps they will need to go through going forward in order to get a building permit through Franklin County. And so there is an avenue for them to go if they so choose. But we are still recommending that we move forward with this road vacation. And in order to do so, we need to have a public hearing to allow any citizens or landowners to come and visit and express their opinion one way or the other. I believe Kenny would like to speak to this as well. And then once we close the public hearing, we'll need to pass a resolution to make the road vacation official.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
Motion. Approve.
Second.
Okay, at this time, anybody want to speak on behalf of this, or?
They're not a member of the public. I'll have Kenny come up after you close the public hearing and
Okay.
give a staff report.
I will say that we did send certified letters to not only the immediate landowners on either side, but any landowner that might be affected by this in that mile stretch. So there were a couple of other landowners that also received the certified letters. So we felt like we notified those folks individually, and then we also put ads in the paper to notify the general public as a whole. And I haven't received any calls or comments or letters one way or the other on this.
Last one more time. Anybody like to speak on behalf of this? One more time, last chance. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, Janet?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. Kenny, would you like to speak?
Sure. As David said, probably my main concern on this is I generally wouldn't recommend vacating a road where there's going to be a parcel that is going to be landlocked with the vacation of the road. This case, I would say, is a little bit unique. The same property owner owns all of the land there, so he would have the possibility of being able to either merge parcels together or grant right-of-way or whatever might be needed in the future. Also, the existing right-of-way is already a minimum maintenance road, so even if they were wanting to build a house there right now with the right-of-way that's currently there, they would already have to upgrade the road to current county standards before we would allow them to build a house. So I think the other part is My understanding, I think this road does not really go through right now either. There's a bridge, I think, that is out to the north of what's being vacated. It's located in an area of the county that there's not probably a lot of need for access through here, and you can't really access through here at this point in time. So, while I have a little bit of concern in regards to, vacating a road that does have parcels that are legal parcels that would be landlocked, I think in this case it is a little bit of a unique situation, and I don't think would impact anything. And like David said, I think if they do come back in the future and want to build a structure or something on the property, then we'll have to work with them on how the access is going to be provided, so.
And Commissioners, I was out in that area yesterday afternoon to meet with another landowner, and I drove down that road from the north, and it is, you can only go just there's one residence up there, and you can't go any further past their driveway because it's all overgrown, and there's a bridge out and those sorts of things. So it's not feasible really to have a complete through road. And one thing that, when we did meet with Mr. Carey, he reiterated the problems that they continuously have with folks coming and illegally hunting, riding ATVs and that sort of thing out in their pastures and their fields. Illegal dumping, all of those things are occurring, and they do their best to run those folks out, but it is a routine issue, and they're really wanting to, that's the reason for wanting to close this, is to be able to gate it off, to keep people that don't belong there, keeping them out.
Any other questions for Kenny or David on this?
Just one more comment, that it really is too bad, because anytime we are vacating a road, it's because people are out there dumping trash or going out where they have no business being. And it really is too sad that we have to do this.
Yep.
This is kind of like the last resort to get people, to make people do the right thing, and that's too bad.
I'm glad, David, you reached out to Kenny and talked about the possibilities of reopening the road at a future date or building.
Yeah, I always
That's
have
real
that
important.
conversation with the applicants, but this is the first time we've had any peculiar land issues, and it was certainly appropriate to bring Kenny in and visit with those folks, just so that, everything is clear and part of the record is moving forward, so that there's no surprises for those landowners later on.
Good, thank you. Okay, positive motion would read, make a motion to vacate Alabama Road from a point 544 feet north, the southwest corner of the southwest quarter, section 23, township 15 south, range 17 east, to the northwest corner of the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter of said section 23.
So moved.
Second.
Hey, Janet.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. Okay, next item of business, consider approval of the solicitation of bids for the 2022 Hotmax asphalt patching and overlay project.
Commissioners, staff has identified a number of locations on our paved road system around the county that need some significant attention. And I'm proposing to use some of the FEMA reimbursement dollars that we recently received to patch around just over 50 different locations, mostly up in the northeast quadrant of the county, where we're getting ready to do a chip seal project in July. But also included in this proposed project that I'm bringing before you are 4 bridge approach issues that we've had. These 4 approaches, the county has worked on these in the past, but in the past, we've only worked on the section of asphalt coming into the bridge that's right adjacent to the bridge. We're proposing to go back as far as needed, as much as 100 feet or so from these approaches, and we will do a full-depth milling out of all that material, and we will overlay that so that there is a smooth transition into those bridge approaches. Currently, these 4 locations, and I'll list the locations in a second, but at each one of these, it's become a safety issue. The bump or the dip at these, coming into these bridges is very severe, and if folks aren't paying attention, can possibly cause an accident and those sorts of things. So we're proposing to take care of these bridge locations. The one is on Montana Road, north of Riley Road. Another is on the Colorado Road Bridge that is just south of Pawnee Road. Another is the John Brown Road Bridge just east of Montana Road. And then on the Idaho Road Bridge north of Labette. All 4 of those have approach issues, and we would like to address those through this project. And then we're also proposing to overlay approximately 4 miles of road with about half of those miles being included in the Wheatland Farm subdivision, and the other one on Vermont Terrace from Shawnee Road to the city limits of Wellsville. Both of those 2 road segments are the only 2 road segments in our pavement management system that are rated as poor condition. The Wheatland Farm, that was a chip seal construction approximately 20 years ago, and the road has steadily deteriorated over that time with construction vehicles coming in and out to build the houses, the trash trucks, and the vehicular traffic on that chip seal surface. It's just not holding up. And then the Vermont Terrace section of road, that was rated in poor condition a couple of years ago. We've done a little bit of patching, but in that time, the rest of the road has continued to deteriorate. That was even more so due to the KDOT I-35 bridge work that occurred this last summer. There was a lot of semi-truck traffic and whatnot that traveled down that Vermont Terrace. And then also on the Shawnee Road, which is another segment of road that we would like to overlay, basically from the Utah Road, northbound Utah Road over to K33, that's about 2 miles. Both of those road segments are in need of overlay, and they were both impacted by the work that occurred last summer. We're also looking to include Tennessee Road, a portion of that from the Penny's Quarry entrance going south in the southbound lane, approximately down to Pawnee Road. Last summer, we took care of a northbound lane for about a quarter mile that was in really bad shape. This takes care of the southbound lane. And then finally, the last part of that would be there's a bridge deck on Labette Road just west of Georgia Road there are some issues with that bridge deck, much like the Jackson Road bridge deck that we took care of last year. We visited with the engineers, and we feel like we can gain about 10 years of life at least out of that bridge deck by putting a couple of inches of asphalt across that. It's not going to adversely affect the bridge load rating based on the information that the bridge engineers gave us. So we feel confident that this project, it's a fairly large project, but it will improve the driving conditions of some very heavily traveled roads. It will take care of some safety issues with some bridge decks. And then it will take care of some severe wheel running and other issues on the overlay portions of the project that we're considering. And again, this money it wasn't in the budget, but because we were recipients of the FEMA reimbursement money, we feel like this is a prudent project to move forward with. This, going forward with this project also does not impact the other projects that we already have committed. We've got a contract with KDOT to be able to provide design fee and matching construction dollars for the Osborne Terrace Bridge Replacement Program. And then we've also committed to finishing the Old 50 widening project, that preliminary design project that I'll be sharing that with you in the coming weeks. But we have funds still available to be able to pay for those things. So all of our current obligations are going to be met even by going forward with this large project that I'm proposing today.
And to be very clear, today we're just asking for permission to solicit bids. So once we get the bids in, if you want, a full financial analysis of, you've seen those numbers, but of what we have committed to other projects, what would be left after committing to this, we can absolutely do that. I think it'd be beneficial to have prices, obviously. So today, we would just like permission to move forward. We do believe that this will be an incredibly popular project because we do have a lot of heavily traveled roads. And obviously, I'm a layman with regard to public works, but you mentioned that a lot of it is focused on the northeast quadrant of the county and mentioned the chip seal project. And my understanding is the logic there is rather than just throw chip seal down on damaged roads, we want to fix what is underneath and get a little more life out of the chip seal in doing so. Is that fair?
That is exactly right.
Planning on chip sealing over the 2-inch overlay portions?
We will not. There's no need to do that. So we've got roughly 3 miles that we will either be able to reduce our costs associated with the chip seal project, or we can find a couple of other nearby miles that kind of tag into this area and chip seal those. So we'll make those decisions once we know exactly what we've got and that sort of thing, and visit with the chip seal contractor. There is a need to move forward quickly with this. Early indications are that the chip seal project is going to start right after the July 4th holiday. That's dependent on weather and some other circumstances, but that is what we are anticipating, and so we want to have this asphalt work, this patching work done prior to that. So the spots that we do patch, we will chip seal across those. It'll just be the overlay projects that we don't include because there's no need to seal those roads for approximately 10 years or so. And so that's what we're looking at.
The only concern I have is that it's such a big project that if companies are already busy, they're going to look at the scope of it and go, we really don't have time to do this, and they aren't going to bid.
Yeah.
It's really not a big project, though.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot of money for Franklin County. We don't normally do projects of this size, but for the state and for other communities that have additional funding streams, this is a fairly small routine project.
Good.
Any other questions of David? Pretty thorough report there, David. Positive motion would read, I make the motion to authorize the solicitation of bids for the 2022 Hotmax asphalt patching and overlay project.
Make a motion.
Second.
Yeah.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. Time for staff reports. Derek, do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, thanks, Roy. I was asked to bring up the condition of one of our county vans. So we have a couple vans for general use my understanding is one of them gets used all the time and the other is basically avoided because of the condition that it's in. Is there any interest from the board in having the staff at least look at pricing on what gently used vans look like, or if it makes more sense to do new? I will tell you, Janet could probably do this a lot better than I in terms of how often we need both of our vans, but I just agreed that I would at least bring it up to the board for your consideration. I do know that one of our vans is avoided because it's in pretty rough shape. So, board have any thoughts on that?
Do we need to?
There is a lot of times that we have, both of them are needed. And there's not very many other options. And with gas prices the way they are, our folks really don't want to travel if they have to take their own vehicles. So I think there definitely is a need for a second one, especially like at busier times of year when health departments doing flu clinics and things like that. You know, just most departments don't have a vehicle that's accessible. So those two vans are what everyone checks out for regular use.
I think we need to. Some years ago, we decided that it was a lot more economical for us to have a couple of vehicles instead of every department having a vehicle. And then we was able to, we do almost all of our service and work in-house, you know, except for the major stuff. So I think if we're down just to one, we probably got through the pandemic with just one. But now that it's open, there'll be a lot more people going to a lot more catch up on stuff. It's going to get a lot more used than normal because people are going to do a lot more catching up with further education and training and so forth now. So I think we need to look into the best option.
And I appreciate that, Don, and that's what we're asking for feedback on. We're not just gonna go buy a van. Like, we'll obviously look at our options and bring those options to you guys. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, there was at least some interest in exploring that. I'm not hearing any strong objections
I think
anyway.
you got a consensus, Derek, to look into it.
Okay, thanks, Roy. The question I got, I believe it was from you, Roy, at our retreat, was about current farm outs. How many inmates Franklin County is farming out. So currently the number is 6. 5 of them are in Anderson County, and we pay $40 a day down there. So it's about $200 a day that the county is paying to farm out inmates. And certainly would be happy to, Jeff is routinely here if you want a more comprehensive update on that. But I think the farm outs are, I think that's a pretty standard number, so. We also discussed potentially paying down some debt. Janet and I have already had exchanged emails with David Arterberry, our financial advisor. The good news is we do have bonds that are callable. I've asked Janet to verify that if we wanted to use ARPA funds, that we could do that. I believe that to be the case, but obviously we would want verification on that. And then if so, then that would be yet another viable use for the board to consider. But have another conversation with David tomorrow where we're going to explore that idea even further and maybe develop some recommendations on what would make the most sense from a financial perspective. Again, that will be presented to you as part of a menu of options, but that's something that we're looking into. This afternoon, Paul and I and one of my staff members are heading up to Wellsville to meet with representatives from the city of Wellsville to discuss potentially an exciting opportunity. So that will be happening this afternoon, and hopefully we'll have more to report on that in the future moving forward. And then lastly, have a study session on Monday. And I'm trying to see if some things can be moved around, but it's looking like it's gonna be a big one. We have our community partners slated to come in. Sheriff Richards wants to talk about a work release program and some policies and rules surrounding that. And then we've got a couple of other things that we may have on the agenda as well. So you might just keep that in mind. And that's all I have, Roy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Kenny, you have anything else for us? Brandon, anything else?
Just wanted to provide a really quick update on the trees on the courthouse lawn. I know before winter, I came here and talked to you about a couple of trees that were dead that needed to be cut down. There were a couple of circumstances that came up that kind of delayed that. But talking with Tom Kraft with Tom's Mowing, who's going to cut those down for us, and we're looking at that being done hopefully by the end of the month, but that's all kind of weather dependent. So just kind of wanted to update you on that again, that those two trees are going to be coming down here pretty soon. That's all I got.
Okay. Tom, you haven't seen you for a while.
Well, it's my goal to come in here every now and again so you guys see my face. If you guys didn't know it, or if your allergies are kicking up right now, the county's on fire. We're in prime burning season right now. We've had 60 burn permits put in just for yesterday, 101 in the last 5 days. So it's that time of year. I wanted to make note of something. I read it in the Lawrence Journal-World, March 12th, the public safety portion of it. They talk about Lawrence PD officers going down to Garnett, and they're following up an investigation or something down there, and a house caught fire, and there was a 2-year-old trapped inside it, and they didn't know what to do, and they used the radio to call out. Well, I can tell you, you guys are part of this thing, that the infrastructure that they called out on was ours. Lawrence PD officers were down there, called on the radio back to their dispatch in Lawrence to get help down there in Garnett. And they used our infrastructure to do that. So that's a big kudos to you guys, that the infrastructure, the stuff that we put in place here in Franklin County is actually helping others in other counties. And it's going from 60-mile difference. So I just wanted you guys to know about that, the story's in the Lawrence Journal-World, March 12th. You guys can look it up and read through it, but that kind of piqued my interest when I saw that, and I saw what they were talking about. So I wanted you guys to be aware of that, you know, what we do here affects people outside our county as well. So that's all I got. You guys got any questions for me?
Has any of the rural fire departments had to go out and stop fires?
What?
Has any of the rural fire departments had to go out and stop?
Oh, they've been busy. We've been, and like it is all this time every year, we get fires that people go out and for one reason or other they lose control of them or whatnot. It hasn't, and we have a burn ban on today because we have high winds, low humidity, and we have major wind shift coming through. But we've been able to hang on to most of those for the most part. There's some tricky ones that we had here about a month ago that was headed for Central Heights, but we took care of it. But nothing that we've hadn't had too many problems with, really.
We actually don't mind not seeing you very much, because that means we don't have emergency declarations going on. Kind of nice. Kind of nice to have a little bit of calm.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Casey?
So a couple of weeks ago, we brought back up the conversation about doing employee service awards because we haven't done that yet for the year. They got pushed back due to COVID. And I brought this up at the department head meeting, and there was a strong interest in doing something that's a little more inclusive of all of our employees and making it more of an employee appreciation event. We talked about a dinner and just logistically kind of settled on having a lunch event, but having it offsite at Celebration Hall. So the thought was, I have reached out to all the elected officials and confirmed that they would all be okay with closing their offices from 11:30 to 1:30 on the day we have the lunch, so that all employees, obviously except for our 24-hour services, would have the opportunity to come have a nice lunch. And also Derek could give an update, we would kind of make it an employee appreciation event, and then we would do employee service awards all together. So the date we're looking at is April 14th, which is about a month from now, and we would start publicly announcing that closure if there's not any objections from you commissioners on us doing that, so.
And this is part of our continued evolution. We want to give more thoughtful recognition to our employees. And we feel like this is something based on feedback we've gotten from our employees that will go over very well. It's just something that, it's not formal, but it's a little more formal, a little more, I think thoughtful is the best word. So there any objections from you to us doing that?
What's the venue?
We would use Celebration Hall.
Nice.
And you can have it catered?
Yes, we would have it catered. There would be the meal options would be like a beef option and a chicken option, and then a couple of sides, a salad and a roll.
I like good idea, Casey.
Yeah, sounds like a great idea.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Casey.
Yep.
Justin, do you have anything for us? No, sir. David, anything else?
Yeah, so last Thursday, Road and Bridge and Noxious Weed staff started pushing snow and treating roads and county parking lots and whatnot early Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, the roads were clear but wet, and then additional snow and whatnot came that night and into Friday. And so we worked an additional day shift on Friday to get that taken care of. On Saturday, our Road and Bridge superintendent received a call about siding and trash and other things strung along Florida Road and K-68. It was in the roadway, in the ditches, it was everywhere. He wasn't able to get a hold of anybody with KDOT, so he took it upon himself to get all that cleaned up. I think there were some sheriff's deputies kind of helping as well, but so he spent a couple hours taking care of that. I'm thankful that we have folks that are willing to spend their Saturdays. He did that by himself. He didn't call anybody in order to save overtime costs and those sorts of things. So I appreciate Jeff and his willingness to do that at all hours of the day. This week, our crews are taking care of some bridge decks. After the winter, we've spread material countless times, salt and sand and other things on those bridge decks. And we've spent the last couple of days and probably another day or two taking care of getting those swept and cleaned off. That will help protect those bridge decks so that material doesn't end up seeping into the concrete and causing us issues like we have on a number of our bridge decks around the county. I anticipate having Bartlett West, our consulting engineers for both the Public Works shop master plan, concept plans, and they're also working on the Old 50 preliminary design report. I anticipate having them come to a study session in early April to kind of present both of those projects to you. I've received the information on the concept plans, and should, hopefully by next week, we'll have the preliminary design report information from Bartlett West, so I'll be able to review that. And then we'll get it on the agenda and get those folks down here just to walk you through the process that we've taken and the results of those, and then we can talk about next steps and those sorts of things. So anticipate that happening in early April.
Yeah, thanks. Janet, do you have anything?
Well, we have two of you going to the Southeast Kansas meeting tomorrow, and we also have, I think, 7 other from different departments going. That meeting's in Anderson County. We try to do that 2 times a year with all the 17 counties in the Southeast Kansas district. Also, Derek was talking about community partners. If you've looked at your packet of information that I gave you last week, we have 12 requests this year. And so currently I have them scheduled for 10 minutes apiece at the study session that Derek was talking about. So that takes just the community partners until 10:30. So I just want to give you more clarification on your time, so you guys make sure that you're planned enough time for that meeting, and then the couple of other agenda items that Derek's talked about, so.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Paul, do you want to have anything for us today?
Morning, Commissioners. As Derek indicated, we'll be up in Wellsville this afternoon as we continue to see a lot of activity and interest in that market, both from a commercial as well as a residential standpoint. So excited about what's happening up there. We also have a roundtable discussion with a few leaders, and I think Dawn's going to be there a week from tomorrow, where we're going to talk about some goals and objectives and some strategies that the city and some of the private and public folks representing in that roundtable and how they'd like to proceed in some instances.
That's in Wellsville, Paul?
That's in Wellsville, yep. And then, as you know, our biggest challenge for our existing industry and our biggest challenge in attracting industry is workforce. I'm very excited about the day on the job, or actually Franklin County Career Day that's next Tuesday, hosted at Ottawa High School, but we'll have juniors and seniors, as I've said before, from all of the school districts in the county. We've received tremendous support. We'll have probably close to 60 businesses hosting tables in the gym that day. We'll have over 600 kids involved, and I just think that's going to be a tremendous day for our county, and it's a great way for us to educate our youth on what careers and opportunities are right here in Franklin County. So I'm real excited, and we've received tremendous support throughout the community for that event. Also, another key issue with workforce is childcare. We've got a meeting on April 11th. I think it's here from 6:30 to 8 at night, working with Child Care Aware and the Extension Office, and FCDC's hosting that. So we'll have some discussion about what's already available, what kind of support is available for child care providers, and then talk about what are some things that we need to be looking at. I'm also setting up meetings with various entities, both public and private, about what can we do from an employer standpoint for benefits for child care to help get that group back in the workforce. That's part of our challenge these days. So spending more and more time on that as we address workforce issues. Still continue to have a lot of conversations with housing developers looking at our county, both in Wellsville and in Ottawa. So that continues to be a hot button. And then lastly, just happy to share, because you all participated in our efforts to raise $10,000 for homeless support. I received a private donation on Monday that got us to the goal of $10,000. So I'm happy to share with you that thanks to you and the city of Ottawa and many of our private companies and individuals, we were able to give Hope House $10,000 to help support temporary housing for homeless. So thank you for that. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul, for the update. Commissioner's report. Don, you want to start with that?
Just that, one thing I'd follow up on, Paul, that certain group up there at Wellsville would like to sit down with a few of the county and discuss it might be a good chance for us to update them what we have been doing and trying to do. And a lot of times things happen you don't really realize that is happening. I guess the whole community doesn't know. A lot of them you just naturally taking care of things. You don't think about it being a newsworthy or spreading it all over. But I think that's going to be a good deal that Mr. Abel at the nursing home is providing a meal and everything. So he's always been big with the Chamber of Commerce up there and always real good about providing things like this. So I think it's a good deal. That's all I got. I'll be going tomorrow to the Southeast Conference.
Okay.
I don't have anything, right?
Okay, Diane?
I would just say that we did have a day and a half of our board retreat last week. And I think more than anything else, it's kind of like being a board of a corporation, because that's basically what we are. You know, you kind of review the last year, but it's also kind of a vision setting. You know, you kind of get stuck in your day-to-day decisions on what you're going to do, but this kind of casts a vision for the future. And if we get where we want to go, the future's bright for Franklin County. It's exciting, what Franklin County is hoping to do. So I'm glad to be a part of it, and that's all I got.
Nothing to add.
Cool.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
I went to the ECAN board meeting last night, did review of their budget, their personnel manual, two of the main things. They did talk about slowly lifting mandates, especially in Head Start. A lot of the mandates, since a lot of their funding is through the federal government, they have to follow the federal government guidelines, and they're easing up on the masking requirements. So that's a positive thing. It might be having this pandemic in the rearview mirror, hopefully. So didn't have much else there last night, but we did meet in person, so that's a good thing. I don't have anything else. Got the conference tomorrow. We got a luncheon next Wednesday. I need to let Amy know if going to be attending that luncheon next week, next Wednesday. And I don't have anything else, so I'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We're adjourned.